Structure is a collection of simple variables and that variable can be any type or a same or different types. Tag is nothing but name of a structure and member of a structure is called as template. Structure is a collection of predefined or a built-in data types. If I wanted to access it, then I can have a access along with a variable name and dot operator. Then I have to specify the member name of a structure. Hello everybody, welcome to the first session on chapter 14, that is structures. I am Rohini TS from the Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. In this structured chapter, we'll see the blueprint of this chapter, that is chapter number 14. You are going to get 1 3 marks question, that is what totally you will be getting 1 question from this chapter, that too for the 3 marks. So now we'll see the topics that what and all I will be covering in the today's session. So in the first session of this chapter, we are going to learn the definition of this structure. That means what is this structure is all about. So how we are going to use this concept in our programming. That is what I will be discussing in the introduction part, and along with that I will be discussing how we are going to define the structure. What is the definition of a structure, or what is the structure of a structure, that is I will be discussing in my today's class. And we have a declaration of a structure variables, and also I will be discussing regarding how we are going to access the elements of a structure. So what and all I am saying right now could not be understandable by you, but when we get into this session, you will get to know what is all these topics we are going to meant for. So now we'll get into the structure chapter here. So you just imagine you are in the market, you wanted to buy some groceries and all, or you wanted to buy some vegetables, you wanted to buy some of the fruits and all. So at that time you have a bag in your hand. So how we are going to put all the groceries together is everything is of same type. That means you may include vegetables, you may include fruits, or you might take any of the groceries and all. So everything that you are going to dump in a single bag or a single basket. That means what? It will having different types of elements, or it is having different kinds of data values it is having inside that. So in the same way, if I wanted to have different kinds of data elements in my program, or if a concept which is able to hold a different kinds of data variables, then I will be calling that as a structure. Already we have learned regarding the arrays. So arrays is nothing but what? That is a collection of homogeneous elements. That means if I am using arrays, then it has to hold, or it has to have only the similar kinds of data elements. But what if I wanted to have different kinds of data elements? For example, if I consider 10, 20, 30, these are all what? These are all the whole numbers. That means it should not contain any fractional part. So when I wanted to hold all these kind of elements, then I will be using what? Arrays concept. But what if I wanted to have all the data kinds, like I wanted to take 10.5, I want to take a variable called A, I wanted to take a value called 98. So these are all the different data values that I can say. So 10.5 is a floating value, and A is a character, and this is a whole number like integer. So that arrays will going to hold only similar kinds of data element. Then which topic or which concept of C++ will going to allow us to have a different kinds of data elements? That is what we are going to call that as a structures. Structures will going to allow us in order to have a different kinds of data variable. So that structure is a collection of different kinds of data elements. That can be either what? Integer value it may include. So it may include character, floating point value. I can have a stream of character. So any kind of data values that I can take together with the help of this structure concept. So that structure is a collection of simple variables, and that variable can be any type or a same or different types. So that means type is nothing but we are talking about its what are the data type that it will going to hold. So before that you have to understand one thing. Let me take one example. Int A. What is this? It is a declaration of a variable called a, which is of the data type integer, right? So this a will going to hold only whole numbers. So for example, it can have 10, 20, 30 like that. But what if I wanted to have any of the whole numbers along with the fractional part? Then I have to declare a variable called float. So float b. So this b is capable of holding whole number along with a fractional part. So that I can take 8.97. So these are the possible values that I can get it for this floating variable. But I don't want all these data types. I don't want it to use the predefined or a built-in data types. I want it to have my own data type. Then I can use this structure. So structure is a user-defined data type. It will going to allow us to create a variable of a different variables. That means it will going to allow us to create our own kinds of data values. So that is what the reason of having this structure. So structure is a collection of different elements or a different data elements, that collection of a variable. That variable can be either same type or a different type. So let me take the example of students. So if you consider the student may include roll number will be there for student, and name will they will be having, and they are going to pay some fees, and they will belongs to particular class or a combination, and they are also going to include the age. Everything is of same data type. That means everything I am going to discuss, or I am going to write the value of name, register number, fees, everything by making use of an integer. No. And can I write all the values of all those things with the help of float? No. That means what? Each type of a member will going to have a different kinds of data type. But when I wanted to have everything together, then the structure is helpful. So remember one thing. So structure is nothing but that is the user defined data type. Structure is user defined data types. So I can have my own variables of my own data type. When I wanted to have my own kind of variable, I wanted to have different kinds of elements together, then we have to use this structure. So structure is nothing but it is a collection of predefined data types. So why I am saying all these things? Because when I am using this structure, I can have a value of integer, floating point, character, every data type I can have in my structure. So that is, we are going to call the structure as a user defined data type, and it will going to allow me to create a variable of my own kind of data type. That is what we are going to call that as a user defined data type. And the structure is nothing but it is a collection of predefined data type. So remember that thing. So the data items in a structures are called member of the structure. So as I told, this structure will going to have a collection of data values, and each data value will going to be termed as a member of the structure. So if you just remember the previous example, that is what you are in the market, you are buying something. So if you just look into that basket and all, you are going to have different values, like you are going to have vegetables, fruits, and some of the groceries will be there in your basket. So if you just look into that values and all, everything is considered as what? Member of a structure. Everything is inside that basket. So all the values I can say that as a member of a structure. So we'll see now how we are going to define a structure. So now I got to know that what is structure. It is a collection of variables that it will going to hold either same kind of data values or a different kinds of data values. So when I wanted to use it, I have to declare and I have to define it. Okay, so it is like what? There will be a difference between the declaration and definition. So declaration is nothing but what? You are just buying a movie ticket. Okay, that is just a declaration. You know that what is the name of a movie and how much it costs for a particular seat and all. Everything you got to know that. But defining is what? You need to enter into the theater, you have to get in, you have to watch the movie, you have to come out of that. That will going to represent the definition. So here also we are declaring, in the sense I am just giving a brief introduction, what kind of data it will going to hold, what is the size, everything. When we are defining it, we will get to know what is in and out of that particular structure. So here also when I am defining this structure, I have to specify what is the keyword it is using, and what is the data type, and what is the name of a structure and what are the members it comprises of, everything that we are going to discuss. So now the process of defining a structure is nothing but giving the name of a structure. So when I'm using this structure, I have to give the name first. So if they are bringing some movie to the theater, they have to name the movie, then people will going to able to recognize that. That is what the reason here also defining in the sense what I have to give the name for a structure. So that name is nothing but I can call that as a tag, and that will going to tell the compiler the name and what are the data type of each piece of data that you wanted to included in a structure. So defining of a structure is nothing but I have to specify the name of a structure and I have to specify what are the members it has. So if I am carrying a basket, I have to say what kind of basket it is, whether it is a jute basket or it is a plastic basket, that and all I have to specify the name of a basket, and I have to specify whether it is belongs to vegetable. If it is yes, then what is the vegetable name? If it is belongs to fruits category, then what is the name of a fruit? Whether it is having any of the groceries and all, so whether it is belongs to groceries. If it is yes, then what kind of grocery it is, whether it is a dal or whether it is some of the powders and all, that I need to specify. So here also defining of a structure is nothing but what I have to specify a name of a structure as well as what are the members that we have in a structure. That is nothing but definition of a structure, or I can say structure of a structure. Then how it look like, we'll see now. First what I have, struct. Struct is a keyword, okay. So struct is a keyword and we have a structure name. So this structure name is nothing but we have to give a tag. So here struct is a keyword. So consider this as a point number 1. So this defines that we are working with a structure. And next point we have a structure name. I have to name a structure. That means in order to identify this is a structure in my program, there could be possibility of having n number of structures. So in order to recognize what kind of structure it is or what is the name of a structure, then we have to specify a structure name. And consider this opening and closing of flower braces as a point 3. And I am going to discuss about this curly braces and all. So within that I have a members. So I have a members of a structure. So remember that plastic basket or a jute basket, within that I have some of the groceries and vegetables and fruits and all, okay. I have to specify the data types. So what kind of data type it is having, and I need to specify the member name. So it can have any number of members. It is just a declaration like data type, it could be either int A. So the member name is A and data type is integer. And if I am taking float fees, so fees is a member 2 and which is of the data type floating point numbers. That is what I am doing here in the structure definition. So it can have any number of members. Then how we are going to close the structure? If I am just going to use opening and closing of a flower braces, it is simply like what, closing of a block of a statement, but we are dealing with a structure, so it has to end with a semicolon. If you missed a semicolon, it won't be considered as a structure. Don't forget to put this semicolon after closing of a flower braces. It is mandatory. Then compiler will get to know that yes, the end of this definition of a structure has been done in this point. So remember to put the semicolon after the closing of a flower braces. So this is how the structure will going to look like. So now I can call all these data type and a member as a template. So it will going to have tag and template. So tag specifies the name of a structure and template specify how many data members we have and what kind of data type it is having. That is the definition or a structure of a structure. So now we'll see. Now here I have discussed about the points that I have given in the previous slide itself. So the keyword struct will going to introduces that we are working with a structure. So after that I have a structure name that is also called as tag. And what is the point number 3? That is curly braces, that is pair of curly braces. So within that I have to specify the member of a structure, and at last I have to close the flower braces along with a semicolon that indicates the termination of a structure. So within that it will going to have a list of structures, members. I can call that as a template. Tag is nothing but name of a structure and member of a structure is called as template. At last, don't forget to put semicolon in order to terminate the structure. Okay. So now we'll see one example to hold the employee information. So you just remember or you just recall. If I'm saying employee, what and all comes to your mind? That employee may comprises of employee ID, you may have a name, and there will be a age for an employee, and designation can be takes place. That means what is their occupation and what their role in the organization, and how much salary they are drawing, everything that I can take. So if I wanted to display the information about the employee and all, you just tell me one thing, is it possible to hold the ID, name, designation and their salary, age, everything as the same data type? No, somehow it is not at all possible. I can't take a name of an employee in the number, in terms of numbers or a floating point values, I can't take. And if I wanted to take a age, are we going to take 18.5, 19.2? No, I just wanted to take either in the characters or I have to take either in the whole numbers. That means this is a mixture or a collection of different kinds of data elements. By making use of this structure concept, it is possible for us to implement a various collection of data items together. So that is what the reason we are going to call the structure as a user defined data type. As per my requirements, I can create my own data type. So here, what was the first keyword that I have discussed in the definition? That is struct. Struct is a keyword and this is employee. What is this? This is a name of a structure. I can call this as a tag. So that specifies the name of a structure, and I have a opening and closing of a flower basis. So at the end of a flower basis, I should not forget to put the semicolon. So this is the first point and name of a structure is the second point. Then how many data members we have in the structure? Can you just make a figure out here? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 data members. I can call all these together as a template, isn't it? Template. So just have a look of the first data members of a structure. What is that? I have to specify the data type and I have to give a member name. So now ID number is the member name and which is of the data type integer. This ID number will going to hold the integer value, and next I have a stream, that is stream of character. I can say that as a string. For example, are we having a name with a single character? No, that is a collection of different characters. So that instead of taking a single character, I have to take a stream of character. We don't have a data type called string in the C++. But if I wanted to take a collection of characters or a stream of character, then I have to take array of character. That is what? So char is a data type and name is a member name and size is 15. That means this name will going to hold up to 15 character. Then we have a next member of this structure, that is designation. So here also designation, I am taking a size as 10 which is of the data type character. So next we have a salary, salary of the data type float. So if you just look into all the data type, is all are of the same data type? No. But when I wanted to have different kinds of data elements in my program, with the help of this structure only, it is possible. So that is, this is the definition of a structure in order to hold the details of an employee. So here this int will going to, when I am using this ID number int, at that time 2 bytes of memory will going to be allocated, and for char 1 byte. But what is the size? 15 I am taking. So that 15 into 1, it will going to be 15 bytes it will going to take. And for this designation, 1 into 10. So char data value is what? Its size is 1 byte and it becomes size of 10. So 10 bytes. Then here I have a float. So float will going to hold 4 bytes. So totally how many bytes it will going to hold when I am defining this structure? These many bytes. That means 17 and 27 plus 31. So totally when I am defining this structure called employee, at that time 31 bytes of memory will going to be allocated for this particular structure. Now, let me write one more structure definition, that to hold the information about a student. And this question is important for the 3 marks. So, they may ask you to write a structure definition to hold the details of a book or a details of a student or a details of an organization. So, you have to conceptualize whatever the organization consists of, what could be the possible members of that particular organization. Everything you have to conceptualize. So, sometime by default they are just going to mention, right, the student details in order to hold ID number, name, their combination, everything they are going to simply specify. If not, you have to conceptualize and you have to write the structure. How can I write the structure for the student? So, what is the first thing? Struct. Struct is a keyword and I have to write a name of a structure. Let me consider that as a student itself. What student comprises of? Register number will be there. So, let me consider int register number semicolon, and I will take name of a student char name of 20 and I will take char combination and I am going to take in the integer age, and I will take one more variable, that is float fees, how much they are paying. So, after this I have to close the flat braces with semicolon. This is a definition of a structure to hold the information about an student. Okay. So, it has how many members are here? We have a 5 members, which is belongs to the student structure. So, struct is a keyword and student is the name of a structure. This indicates opening and closing of a structure with a semicolon, and these are all the belongs to members of a structure, so that together I can call that as a template. This is point number 4. This is what you have to remember. So, now we will see how we are going to declare a variables for this structure. So, already now I have defined the structure, and if I wanted to access the members of a structure, for example, if I wanted to get to know what is the name of an employee, or if I wanted to get to know what is the ID of an employee, 1, 2, 3 and all, so it is mandatory to have a variable. So, then how we are going to declare a structure variable or how we are going to define a structure variable, we'll see now. Okay. So, if you consider int a, what it indicates? A is a name of a variable and which is of the data type integer. So, here also I am just going to take a name of a structure. So, already we got to know that structure is a user defined data type. So, here in the place of predefined data type, I am writing a name of a structure and I have to take a name of a variable which is of a data type called structure, and I have to put semicolon. So, what if I wanted to have one more variable called b? At that time, instead of putting a semicolon after a, I will just put comma, then followed by b, at last semicolon. That means a and b, which is of the 2 variables which belongs to the data type integer. In the same way, I can also create my own variable of a data type called structure. That is what the definition of a structure variable. So, here we can structure can be declared or it can be defined as we declared or defined for the basic built-in data type. Then we see the general form or a syntax. I have to specify a name of a structure. I wanted to specify structure name or a tag of a structure, then I need to specify variable. It can be list of variables, or if I am having more than one variable, should be separated by comma. At last I need to put semicolon. So, you just consider the previous example. Here what I have, what is the name of a structure? Student. I wanted to access the details of a student 1 with respect to the register number, name, combination, age and fees and all. Okay. How can I access all these members, or how can I get to know what is the register number of a first student? then it is mandatory to create a variable which is of the data type student. That means I can say that student as a structure. Here also you can see that student is a name of a structure and it will comprises of two variables. How many variables I have? I have two variables. One is old student and another one is new student. Both should be separated by this comma. At last I have to put semicolon. Then how can I create a variable for the employee? What was the name of this structure? Employee. So let me create employee. How many variables I can take? I can take any number of variables. Let me consider E1, E2, E3. So what it indicates, E1, E2, E3 are the variables which is of the data type called structure and its name is employee. So this employee will going to have three variables and each three variable will going to have access to all the members of this employee structures. For example, if I wanted to access the register number of a employee 1, then I can access it with the help of E1. If I wanted to get to know the designation of an employee 2, then I can use this E2. So there we are going to have any number of variables which is belongs to the data type called structure. So that structure is a user defined data type, or else I can also say that structure is a collection of predefined or a built-in data types. So here you can see that we are creating one structure which is of the employee, that is already I have discussed. So struct is a keyword, employee is the name of a structure or a tag of an employee, and here I have a ID number, int ID number, I have a char name of 15, char designation and float salary. How we are going to create a variable? What I am supposed to do? I have to create a variable with the help of the name of a structure and I have to create a variable which I require for the particular structure. So this is one method. So after having this, I can put semicolon and in the next line I can create a variable like this. Or else I have one more method, that is I can create a variable of a employee structure here also. That is what? Employee 1, comma employee 2. At last I have to put semicolon. This is one method, this is another method. So here let me take one more example. Consider student. Student is a structure. So struct is a keyword and student may comprises of only member name, let me take, and char name of a 10. Okay, so this is structure of a student. If I wanted to create a variable of a student, here also I can make it as S1 comma S2 at last semicolon. This S1 and S2 are the variables of a data type student, or else instead of this line I can also write like this. I will close the flower braces with a semicolon that indicates the termination of this structure, and I can write the name of a structure, that is what student. I can create a variable S1 called S2. Okay, there are two possibilities of creating a variables for a particular structure. So after creating this variable, this employee 1 can hold the details of a manager, this employee 2 can hold the details of an assistant. Everyone will going to have the ID number, name, designation and salary. If I am writing manager, that is employee 1, then I will get to know what is their ID number, what is their name, designation, salary. Okay, and when it comes to the employee 2, it may hold the details of an assistant. So at that time, that assistants also will going to have the ID number, name and designation, salary will be there. This is how we are going to declare a variables for an structure. Structure is a data type, that is user defined data type. I can have my own variables, but when we are declaring a variable, it's supposed to follow the rules for the identifier. It should start with alphabets and it should not start with any special characters or a numbers, and it should not have a double succeeding underscores, and you should not enclose any of the keyword as a name of a variable. So those are all the things that you have to keep it in mind. Then you have to create a variable for a structure. So now You can see that here I have listed out some of the point that what I have discussed in the previous slide itself. That is means when we are defining a structure, at the time memory location will going to be takes place and it should end with a semicolon, and also semicolon should be followed after the closing of flat braces, and I have to specify the members of a structure and what are the data types of that members. Everything that we have to keep it in mind. Then we have to declare the members as well as we have to give a name for a structure, and it should be terminated or should be end with a semicolon. So we'll see the last one, that is what? Accessing the elements of a structure. Elements of a structure. What is that? Elements, that is what? Data elements or a member of a structure. So if you just consider the student, what are the data members? It may comprise of register number, name, and fees will be there, combination will be there, age will be there. How will I get to know what is the value of a name or what is the value of a register number? Then for that I need to access, I must get to know the value of that particular members of a structure. Then what is the syntax in order to access the members of a structures or element of a structure? We'll see now. So after the structure variables are defined, then we should know how the members of a structure variable can be accessed. That means I am getting the value of that particular variable. That is what we are going to call that as an accessing of the values of a data elements of a structure. So as we all know that members of a structure is nothing but it is a part of a structure, but I don't have a accessibility to access it directly. So we have to access the data members of a structure only with the help of variables along with a dot operator. So important topic, the members of a structure can be accessed using dot operator. How can I access the members of a structure? That too with the help of dot operator. So here you can see the syntax, structure variable name dot. So this is what? Dot operator, or else I can say this also as a accessing operator. Then I have to specify a member name and semicolon. Let me take one example. Let me consider struct student and I have int register number and next member is name. So can I take it directly? No, I have to take a data type. Let me consider char name of 20 and let me consider int age. Okay, these are the three members and I wanted to have two variables for this structure called student. Let me consider S1 comma S2 and I will put semicolon. Now I want to access the value of the register number of a student 1. How can I access it? That too with the help of dot operator. What is the syntax? I have to write the structure variable name. What is the structure variable name? That is what? S1, then I have a dot operator, then I need to specify the member name. How many members I have in a student? 1, 2, 3. Now I wanted to access the register number, so that let me consider S1 dot register number. So then when I am accessing this value, then register number of this student 1 will going to be shown to the user. If I wanted to access the age of a student 2, how can I write that? That is what? S2 is a variable name and I have a dot operator, then I am going to write the age. Then this will going to give me the age of a second student. This is how we are going to access the members of a structure, that too with the help of this dot operator, because we can't access the value of register number, name, age directly. If I wanted to access it, then I can have a access along with a variable name and dot operator, then I have to specify the member name of a structure. I hope you all understood all these topics. So in the next session, we will be discussing about a program in order to input and output the information of a student, that too with the help of how we are going to define the structure and how can I access the value of a data members of a structure. Along with the program, I will be discussing my next session, and also we are going to learn about initializing of a structure. If I wanted to give some initial value to the members of a structure, then we are going to use this initialization. Next, I have a nested of structure. One structure is comprises of another structure, that is what nested of structure, and I will be discussing about the last topic, that is array of structure. This will be the content of my next session. I hope you all understood with my today's session. Let me meet you in the next session with a continuation of this chapter itself. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.